So, good morning, all. In the last lecture, we discussed about various aspects related to designing the compensation system, which included analysis of the job, evaluation related to the nature of the job, we had developing the pay structure, survey of wages and salaries, pricing of the job, and compensation revision and control. In this lecture, we shall move ahead with the topic that is remaining with regards to this particular chapter, that is about various compensation models that we have. There are three models that is mentioned, which includes the distributive justice model, the labor market model, and finally we have balancing equity models. The three models with regards to compensation. Let us have a look at this one by one. And after we finish it, we'll go in for the revision of the chapter. I like it mentioned earlier. The distributive justice model of pay equity holds that employees exchange their contribution or inputs to the firm for a set of outcomes. The distributive justice model of pay equity holds that employees exchange the contribution or inputs to a firm for a desired set of outcomes. Now, what does that contribution or input include? It includes the skills, the effort, the time that they put in, and variety of such factors, all such factors that they put in, so that they get a desired level of outcome. Pay is one of the most important of these outcomes. But at the same time, we also have non-monetary rewards like a company car, which may also be significant. This social psychological perspective suggests that employees are constantly comparing what they bring to the firm and what they receive in return. It definitely is one of the ways by which the employees think. They'll definitely compare the performance, the skills that they bring into the organization. How does the organization benefit with the varied skill level of a particular employee? The efforts that they put in with sincerity and dedication, the hard work that they put in for the organization, the number of hours that they work for the organization, time that they put in. All those factors are taken into account. They generally do have a tendency wherein they're comparing what they give to the firm, what they bring to the firm, what they offer to the firm, and what they receive in return. What does the organization give to the employee? They even compare the input output ratio, input outcome ratio with that of other employees within the firm. The employees will think that they are fairly paid when the ratio of their inputs and outputs is equivalent to that of other employees whose job demands are similar to their own. They'll make a comparison. And if they feel that they are paid well, if they feel that the ratio of their inputs and outputs is equal to that of other employees whose job demands are similar to their, in that case, they'll feel that they are fairly paid. They'll be satisfied with regards to the payment aspect of it. In the distributive justice model of pay equity, the employees exchange their contribution like skills, efforts, time for a desired set of outcomes. Employees do consider the input ratio to that of the output ratio. And when they feel it is similar to that of other employees in the same line of work, they feel satisfied. That was about distributive justice model. Now let's have a look at labor market model. What is the labor market model? According to labor market model, wherein we say labor market model of pay equity, the wage rate for any given occupation is set at a point where the supply of labor equals the demand for labor in the market. Is a scenario where the supply is equal to the demand at market force. So in general, if we say the less employers are willing to pay, which could be due to low demand for labor, the less the employers are willing to pay, and the lower pay that the workers are willing to accept for the job. You could have a scenario wherein you have a higher supply of labor. In that scenario, the workers would be forced to accept a lower pay in both the scenarios, wherein I said the lesser the employees are willing to pay and the lower the workers are willing to accept for a given job, the lower will be the wage rate for that particular job. People consider many factors other than pay for holding a job. With regards to job, it is not just the pay factor that influences it. People do consider many other factors. The two main factors are the organizational location, the job's content, and demand. Where exactly is my organization located? Which type of job am I doing? It even includes the goodwill associated with it, the content of the job. The pay that the employer offers depends on many factors rather than the number of people available with skills and abilities for the job. The pay offered by an employee is dependent on many factors. It is not just focusing on the number of people who have skills and ability to do the job. We have several factors like historical wage patterns. You could have the presence of a trade union. You could have the presence of a good trade union, or you could have the opposite, that is an absence of a trade union. The policies that work within the organization, that is the internal organizational policies, are some of the factors that affect it. The basic aim of the model, that is the labor market model, is that the external equity will be achieved when the firm pays its employees the going rate, that is the rate that is currently prevalent for the type of work that they do. If the pay rate offered is below the going rate, it may not attract employees. The firm may not be able to retain quality employees. But on the other hand, if the pay rate offered is more than the going rate, it may be unable to charge competitive prices, because it then leads to a scenario wherein the cost incurred on labor becomes too high. Hence, it tends to achieve external equity by paying the employees the going rate. That is the rate that is currently prevalent in the market. Because, like we discussed right now, if it pays the employees lesser than what is the going rate currently, If it pays them below the going rate, it leads to a scenario wherein it is not able to attract skilled employees. It is not in a position to attract the employees with a greater degree of skills. That would affect, that could lead to absenteeism, increase employee turnover. Employees might quit your job and leave. The firms would not be able to retain those employees which it values greatly, qualified employees rather, employees with great deal of skills. This scenario happens if the firm is not paying them as per the going rate. That is, if it pays below the going rate. But on the other scenario, wherein if it pays more than what is the going rate, again the firm is at disadvantage because it is not able to offer competitive prices. And this is caused due to a scenario wherein we have cost incurred of labor, which is more higher cost on labor. People base their decisions about a job, they are willing to hold on to for more than one factors. Like I said, it is not just the pay factor that it is effective. When we say what are the factors that people wish to hold on to a particular job, definitely pay is one of the factors, because that is the reason by which, due to which the employees join an organization. So better position, pay, and so many other factors involved in it. And like we discussed, the organizational location, job content, and demand also have a great say with regards to, are the main important factors determining the same. Now, let us focus on balancing equity model. The firm should try to establish a balance, a balance between external and internal pay equity. In balancing the equity, the organizations have to determine which group of employees will be adjusted upwards to meet the market rates and which group pay will remain under the market rate. Within an organization, you could have employees that you value greatly. That is because of the number of skills, the abilities, the knowledge, the experience, the seniority, various factors that you have. You could have semi-skilled workers, or you could value one job more as compared to the other. Whatever would be the case, with regards to balancing the equity, it is the organization that has to come up, that has to determine which employee group will be adjusted upwards to meet the market rates and which group will remain under the market rate. This decision is based on the group's relative importance to the firm. Like I said, you might value one job more than the other, or you could have a scenario wherein a certain set of employees, a certain group of employees are more skilled, more talented. It is possible that they're working with a great level of dedication, sincerity, bring in more to the organization. The organization is benefiting by their presence with regards to the expertise that they bring in, the technological knowledge that they have. They could bring up something which is more innovative, creative, all those positive factors that the firm looks out with regards to an employee. So these decisions could be solely based on the group's relative importance to the firm, wherein you decide which group would be adjusted upwards so as to meet the market rates and which group would remain under the market rates based on the importance that they offer to the firm. Emphasizing external equity, focusing on external equity, is more beneficial for new firms or small firms, because we have a scenario wherein the market structure is changing very rapidly. To ensure that we keep ourselves updated, we need to adapt as per the changing market structure, wherein we have continuous competition. You have to be on your toes. You cannot let your guards down. There is a high need for innovation. You have to come up with something new. Do your R&D, research and development. Do not stick with old ideas for a longer duration of time. The need for innovation is there so that we remain competitive and are dependent on key individuals to achieve the business goals. We have a set of workers, we have a set of employees with which we expect to hit those goals, the goals of related to business, the objectives of the organization. All those have to be met. This is regarding to scenario where we focus on improving the external equity, whereas focusing on internal equity, emphasizing on internal equity, wherein we discussed earlier that emphasizing on external equity was more appropriate for smaller firms, all those firms which are new to the market. With regards to internal equity, we could say that it is more appropriate for older firms, large firms, or those firms which are existing in the market, or we could say those firms which are well established, because they do have employees who plan to remain in the same organization for a longer duration of time. Good nature of employees, they would have product which have been there for a long time, well developed product with regards to quality, which we call mature product. And the advantages of employees who are skilled, senior within the organization, mature product, all these are enjoyed by firms which are well established in nature or large scale industries. However, with regards to this concept, the limitations or dilemmas that one face, issues that one face, is an increased number of firms have opted to offer large sign-on bonuses to the new employee without disrupting the existing salary schedule. You have companies facing an uncertain financial future, financial uncertainty, giving away large amount of retention bonuses on the key employees. You have an issue with regards to the financial uncertainty, financial future, just because you are spending too much, or you are giving away large amount in the form of retention bonuses, retention benefit to a key employee, to see to it that you're holding a particular employee, you're retaining a particular employee whom you value greatly to the organization. It may end up paying large amount, and this could lead to a scenario wherein we do not have a favorable situation with regards to the financial future of the organization. The aim is to retain the needed expertise. We need to ensure that we are retaining those employees whom we value a great deal, whom we greatly value. The aim is to retain the needed expertise without having to raise the entire salary schedule, without having a great impact on the cost factor, on the salary schedule. because that might not be good for the financial part, that could even result in the closure of the firm. So we did discuss about three aspects, that is the distributive justice model, we discussed labor market model, and we discussed about balancing equity model. So in this particular thing, we have completed all the aspects related to the topic. Like I mentioned it to you, we'll have a revision for the entire part. We started with the concept of compensation, wherein we had discussed that compensation is the remuneration received by the employee due to his contribution towards the organization. It can be viewed as a means of rewards that is used to encourage the employees to improve their performance. Compensation management was viewed as an integral part of human resource management. And the basic aspect was to help motivating the employees and improve the organizational effectiveness. It is the remuneration received by the employee for his or her service to the organization. Tools used for organizations to inculcate value, culture, and behavior. It can also be viewed as an instrument that enables the organization, that helps an organization to achieve their business goals in employees. Then we focused on various definition aspect of it, wherein, as per Terry Leap, we discussed compensation as a broad term pertaining to financial rewards received by persons through the employment relationship with the organization, a professional relationship that is developed between an employer and an employee. Then we have definition of Gary Lessler, which defined compensation as all forms of pay or rewards going to the employees and raising from their employment. That was the second definition. Compensation is a total of all rewards that is provided to the employee in return for their services. And the basic purpose, or the overall purpose of providing compensation, is to ensure that we attract, retain, and motivate the employees. We should be in a situation wherein we are able to attract the required number of employees. All those employees you believe could bring worth to the organization, asset to the organization. They possess the required skills that you need. So you're able to attract the employees, retain them, and motivate them to work harder. These were the definitions that we focused on. Then we had different objectives, that is primary objectives, with regards to compensation plan. We had primary objectives, which included equity, efficiency, macroeconomic stability, efficient allocation of labor. Then we have objectives that is secondary in nature, that is acquiring competent personnel, complying with the rules and regulations, ensuring that you control the cost, increasing the effectiveness or efficiency with regards to administrative matters, to ensure that you're facilitating transparency, you're able to retain the employees, like we discussed, attract, retain, and motivate the employees. And then, if you have a behavior in accordance to achieving the goals and organizations of the objectives, you're rewarding the desired behavior. Then we focus on various aspects like the types of compensation structure, which included your financial compensation. Financial compensation, as we discussed, is a direct remuneration that refers to monetary payment provided at a definite time by the organization to the employees. This is in return to the services that they bring into the organization. Now, the various aspects with regards to financial compensation include basic salary, dearness allowances, house rent allowances, bonus, leave travel allowances, medical reimbursement, conveyance, special allowances, incentive pay, and stock options. Wherein with regards to non-financial compensation, we meant all those non-monetary benefits offered or which are provided to employees, that is non-monetary benefits that are offered or provided to the employees for the services that they give to the organization. We discussed various aspects like leave policy over here, hospitalization, overtime benefits, retirement benefits, flexible timings here, insurance benefits, holiday homes, leave travels, and all the other benefits that were there. Then we went in to various factors influencing compensation, wherein we discussed that the amount of compensation payable by the organization was dependent on various internal as well as external factors, which differs from organization to organization and based on situations as well. And therein we focus on the first part, that is external factors. External factors which are out of the reach of the organization and influencing compensation, wherein we discuss labor market conditions, labor legislations, the rules and regulations, policies made with regards to labor, comparative pay scale, cost of living, collective bargaining, technology, geographical location, and globalization. These were factors which were beyond the reach of the organization. We also discussed various internal factors, which meant which focused on the capacity of the organization to make payments, the corporate policies, the philosophy of the organization, the principles of the organization. We discussed various strategies, the policies with regards to human resource, the nature of the job and requirement of a job, something that the job demands on the basis of various performance evaluation report. Then we had various compensation tools, wherein we saw job-based compensation plan and skill-based compensation plan. We discussed job-based compensation plan as a traditional and widely used form of compensation, something which assumes that work gets done by people who are paid to do that job. We had advantages of job-based compensation plan, where it focused on emphasis of specialization and seniority. That job-based compensation plan gives more attention towards specialization, and seniority is a factor here. It considers seniority as an important factor. Employee promotion and pay raises. One of the advantages is that it can be administered easily. It is stable and predictable in nature and can be used in various situations. Whereas the criticisms or limitations, when we focus, it is that one of the major part was that it is subjective in nature and does not consider the nature of business and its problems associated with it. With regards to higher level of organization, large scale organization, it is difficult to separate individual contribution from that of the group. And in that situation, it becomes appropriate to be applied. It was considered to be more rigid, not adapting according to the required situation. Of criticism of biasness was there. And another factor as a criticism was that it can be that the data which is collected by market surveys might be inaccurate. Then we had different skill-based compensation plan, which uses skills as the basis of pay, skills of the employees as the basis of pay, wherein all the employees would start at the same rate and advance one pay level on every skill that they've learned. We discussed depth skill, horizontal skill, and vertical skill here. And advantages included flexible workforce, employee control over compensation, job enlargement and enrichment, wherein increased productivity was there, better pay, self-development, increase in skill. But with regards to limitation, you had high training costs, lack of opportunities with regards to the employees. Once I reach the top level with nowhere to go, frustration might creep in, but again, might be subjective in nature. Then we had various dimensions of compensation. That is, we are paying for work and performance, for time not work, disability income continuation, deferred income, spouse income continuation, health accident protection, income equivalent payment. And then we had the different P's of compensation, wherein we focused on position, performance, and person. Position, person, and performance. We discussed on to various benefits with relate to personal benefits, health and safety benefits, welfare benefits, social security measures. We looked into general benefits with regards to employment security, which included hours of pay, paid holidays, shift premium, holiday pay, paid vacation, extra pay for time worked, which included old age and retirement benefits, participation, employee security, safety and health measures. Then we looked on to various aspects with regards to Employee State Insurance Act, wherein sickness benefits, maternity benefit, disablement benefit, dependent medical benefits, various welfare measures like canteen facilities, consumer societies, cooperative credit society, housing facilities, legal aid was given, counseling for the employees, various aspects related to welfare organization and welfare offices, educational facilities, transportation for the employees. We discussed what exactly is the pay structure, various levels of pay that exist within an organization, various factors. Starting here, we discussed today alignment as per the business objective, internal and external equity, reward for the desired performance, legal compliances, reconciling the individual interest with that of the organization. And then we discussed this today, the various models, wherein we have distributive justice model, labor market model, and finally, balancing the equity model. That is it with regards to the first chapter that we had with regards to compensation plans of an HR professional. In the next lecture, before the next lecture rather, what I'll try to do is I'll send you the objectives. I'll share the PPTs with you, this PPTs with you. The Google Classroom link will be shared with you guys, wherein all the videos until now for this chapter will be there. Now that the revision is gone, I request you, I'll give you a certain time. And in the next lecture, I'll announce a date wherein we'll go in for a small test with regards to this chapter so that we understand. I'll come to know that whether you have understood this or not. With regards to the test, I told you it would be based on MCQs, and you need not worry because this test is conducted with the intention of knowing whether you have understood the chapter or not. That is it. They would be considered for any other part of assessment. Right? So I'll stop here for this particular lecture and we'll continue from the next lecture. Thank you.